Or here. Okay.
All right. Chances are, if you have a question, somebody else may have, and it can help them too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can unmute and ask, and yeah.
I actually have a couple questions.
Yeah.
I have a challenger that has been doing this since January, and she did like 2 21-day fix programs, and then did 2 21-day fix extreme, and then did 80-day obsession. She's been following the portion control containers, doing Shakeology faithfully, and she sees, the biggest difference in energy. She feels good. She's eating healthy. She says her pants are fitting a little bit better, but the scale is not moving. And, I know it is different for everybody. And, I just feel like, am I, telling her everything that she needs to be doing right to be successful? Am I missing something? She's in the Plan A work or the Plan A eating program, and she doesn't stray from that. And I just feel like, and I know, it takes time, and I keep telling her to be patient, but she says, she probably should just throw the scale away for now, which I, kind of agree with. But I just didn't know if anybody had any experience with that, or how I could
Trish,
help
what
her.
are her goals?
What's that?
I asked
What
that
are her
too.
goals?
Her goals are to lose weight. I mean,
How much
Tell you
weight?
how much? Yeah.
I think she said like 20 pounds.
Okay.
I know she, is, she said she's heavier than she's ever been. She had a lot of surgeries in the past year. She had a hysterectomy, and so I don't know if part of that is like her body going through a lot of different changes. And
Is she on hormone replacements?
not that I know of,
Okay,
but I
that's
can
probably
ask her
part of it.
that. Yeah, I'm
So-
not.
Do you think she's being honest with you about the nutrition?
That was the other question. Is she
I-
tracking?
She is tracking, and she actually sent me a week's worth of tracking, and she's pretty, I think she's pretty honest about things, because this is another question I have, because we just today was the third day that both her and I did the 3-day refresh. And I texted her this morning to see how she did. And she's like, last night, she's like, I did awful. I'm so upset with myself, but I had rice cakes last night, so I think she is pretty honest. And like I said, I looked at her tracking, and I counted out the containers, and I looked at everything, and I didn't see anything that I thought that looked off. And she does keep saying that with this plan, she feels full all the time. Like she's like, I'm not hungry. And I remember when I did Plan A, I was hungry at the beginning. When I was losing weight. So I don't know. I'm just at a loss.
So I have a couple thoughts.
Okay.
One, Allison, I don't know if you want to chime in, not to call you out or anything, but she probably has some hormone stuff if she had a hysterectomy, because once you lose your hormones, you gain weight. It's just the way that your body is.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that usually when people say, we kind of like work together on this, is I ask like, what are they actually eating? What are they filling specifically like their carb containers with? Because sometimes like that matters. Another thing that she could try is carb cycling. It's part of the portion fix.
Yeah.
I would suggest that she tries that and see how her body responds to that.
Okay.
But the other part too is, if you guys did the refresh and she caved in a 3-day refresh with rice cakes, it kind of makes you wonder how true she's sticking to the ultimate portion fix.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is she having a handful of like M&Ms a day? Is she eating like the crust from her kids' sandwiches? Or do you know what I mean? Like, is she
Yeah.
eating more things that she actually is consciously tracking? I don't know, those are my thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she said with this carb cycling, or not carb cycling, with the 3-day refresh, she was really hungry. And that was like another one of my questions, because I thought, well, she really wanted to try this, and I thought it would be good because maybe I thought, it would jumpstart her, body into maybe losing some weight, or, but I don't know. Are you supposed to be really hungry on the 3-day refresh? I mean, I
I'm
was
freaking
hungry,
starving
but
every time I do it. I hate the refresh.
oh,
I'm
I'm
just
telling you,
saying.
today was my last,
I'm
like
always starving.
yesterday, I just was ready. Well, the first day I was really ready to give up, and both my husband and daughter are like, what kind of coach are you? You can't give up. So today is my last day, and my husband's like, I don't know if you ever want to do that again, because you complained for 3 days. But I did it, and I was hungry, but I managed, but I don't know. I've been doing this for 3 years, so I'm able to do that a little bit better than she is. But I don't know. I just, I feel like I can't help her, and was so anxious to get on this call because I just want input,
Did she lose on the refresh? Do you know?
Well, she hasn't weighed herself yet because today was the 3rd day. And she did say she did okay today. So I was, going to check in with her tomorrow and see what happened.
Even if the only thing that she caved was rice cakes today, depending on how many, she should lose weight if that's the only thing that she did. So if she doesn't lose weight on the refresh, I would probably think she should talk to her doctor, because it more than likely has something to do with her hormones.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I'm not an expert by any means, but.
Okay. That's good.
I just feel like we all kind of have to be honest about what's every single bite that's going into our mouths too at the end of the day. She may very well have something hormonal going on, because that can mess with so many different things, and especially weight loss. But it's just like Amber said, like the little bites here and there. And if she caved on something like rice cakes, it could have been, it wouldn't have been the end of the world if she had something, and like maybe it should have just been a veggie versus a rice cake.
Right.
So it kind of makes me think, okay, well, when she's faced with those decisions in her normal day-to-day routine, is she choosing the rice cakes over something, over a veggie or a fruit or something like that too?
Okay.
So we just don't know. It's so hard because we're not there. And I really think that you've probably done a great job, and it's just not you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we talk every other day,
and you're there for her. So that's important. But we got to be honest about those bites, that are everything that's going into our mouths.
Yeah, because it's my favorite when people are like, I want to lose weight. And you say, well, like, what are your eating habits like right now? And they're like, well, I eat, veggies and protein, and I'm doing this with my meals and this with my meals. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, be real about what it is that you are actually truly eating.
Right.
Because otherwise you wouldn't want to be losing like 40 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The crust of the peanut butter and jelly and the licking of the peanut butter after you make the peanut butter and jelly. Trust me, I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but like when it's like consistently over time, right? It adds up.
It adds up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that's good. I can talk to her tomorrow about some of those things then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just too much science behind the program. It just works for too many people. Like it's not, and that's, people just are sometimes having like serious food issues that they just can't be honest. So, but then you can just always say like, it doesn't really make sense, because you don't have to be the expert, like you're just sharing the resource. And it's not on you. So don't, take that pressure off yourself. Like you're just connecting her to the resource. And then you can just say, you know, you're obviously being an advocate for her, and just say like, I don't know. I know if you follow the program, it works, but you know, maybe you have some other stuff. You should probably talk to your doctor. And then it might kind of reality check her and say like, maybe you need to be more mindful, but if not, maybe it's a hormonal thing too. So
yeah, because I have other challengers that are doing great. You know, they're right on track, and you know, she's my only one that I'm just kind of baffled. So I'm gonna go back and talk about some of those things. So okay.
What else? What other questions do you have? Allison, you don't have to raise your hand. Just
I have a question. All right, so I wanted to talk about the tracker. I know they have the electronic tracker now, and I was looking all through the coach office. I like the paper one, and I don't see it in there anymore. But that's not the whole question. What is like the best way that you ladies who track consistently, what is your favorite way of doing it? And is there anything else besides what Beachbody puts on the tracker that you do? And, you know, how do you go along with it? I feel almost like there's not enough space for things I have to write on the paper tracker. And has anybody been using the electronic one in the coach office? And if so, do you like it? How's it working for you?
I actually just started using the one in coach office, and this is a really, really big deal for me because I am such a pen and paper girl, and I'm so used to doing the paper tracker. The paper tracker is actually no longer in there, but I know that a couple of us have it downloaded. I guess they're really, really trying to get us to do this digitally. I'll be really honest, the only reason why I started using it was because of the Take Action challenge that they're doing.
I saw that, yeah.
My competitive nature is totally showing.
Me too, Katie. Me too. I want to win some prizes.
Me too. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to suck this one up and do it. It's not bad. It's just something that it's just like replacing an old habit with a new habit. You just have to, it's consistency over time. It's the same thing though. It's the same thing. You're just checking off boxes versus it being right in front of you and kind of being able to write like little notes and stuff like that. But I just started using it this week. So it's super new. I don't always remember to go in there and do it. And so I kind of feel like I'm still using the paper one and like checking the boxes up and then having to go in and check the electronic boxes off too. So but it has to be whatever way works for you. I know they're really trying to get us to transition over to this one in the back office, but I know you said kind of what's your favorite, but it's got to be, I mean, there's different ways of tracking for everyone, but it really has to be what works best for you and the way that you function, just the way that you're able to, you know, if you are a pen and paper girl, maybe it is a matter of just, okay, so let me try both here. I'm going to have that pen and paper in front of me and be able to write my notes and stuff like that. But then I'll go in and kind of double check myself and do it on the electronic one too.
Okay. I think too, like one thing I don't do is I don't write down every single name of every single person that I talk to. I just write down the names of people that become a conversation or someone that I want to make sure that I follow up with. So I personally, I mean, I'll transition to do the digital, but what I typically did was use the tracker and I would just do the tally marks. And then I have a Google Doc that literally every month I create a new Excel sheet. And so it's one Excel document. And then in my sheet, I have all of my, what I call like hot prospects. And basically those are people that said, they wanted information or they were in my free group or they were interested in the coach call. And then it's really nice because I have it tabbed at the bottom by the year. So, and I usually and I write in what their objection was if they don't purchase, and then I can go back and see like who were my money objection when there's like a deal or, who was interested in the last Shanti workout, from Transform 20 and 2 years ago. So I have all of those. So I oftentimes will go back through those sheets to follow up with people.
Okay.
So you want to make
So
sure that you're keeping the names of the people that you're starting to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, unlike you, I've been writing the names of anyone I send an invite to. And then I'll make special notes next to the names or highlight the names of people who responded back.
Yeah.
And, write either what their objection was or what they're interested in, or they want to wait a couple months or whatever, the comment is. Now, with your Excel sheet, Kirsten, do you check that off? Like, say you just sat and invited people and you had your tracker in front of you. Do you then take that information and put it onto your sheet right away, or just sometime when at your leisure?
Typically when I am in the conversation with that person, I go right to the sheet. A lot of times I'm collecting their email too. So I just copy and paste right during that conversation to the sheet, because then I have their email, because I might not necessarily get them an email right then, but yeah, as soon as that conversation sort of goes there. I think the key for tracking for anybody, you guys, is to just do it. And then, because 8.5 years later, I don't do it the way I did it when I started coaching. I probably did it a little bit more like you, Jenny, where I was writing down every single name because I wanted to kind of keep myself accountable. But now that I have my own little systems in my head and sort of the way I operate, I don't do it that way. And sometimes I do have a list of people. If I don't have time to sit and invite, I just need to make my list. Then that list ends up disappearing or going in the garbage. But I have found, for me personally, if I do paper and pencil tracking, I lose everything. It gets shuffled under papers somewhere. And so if it's in just digital form, I always have it. And it's in that Google, it's in my Drive. So, but I think I haven't used the digital one that much. So I don't know how. Does it stick, Katie, month by month? Do you enter, is it almost like Teamsy? I don't know if you ever used that. I used that for a little bit, but.
I never used Teamsy, so I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure that when you're doing this digitally, it's tracking. Excuse me. It's tracking some way, somehow. I mean, I don't know. I don't see them. I haven't used it long enough to know. But I don't foresee them deleting a tracker, because that's really important that we would have to go back, because they keep track. When you check off a box, that little dial is going to hey, you're 45% there, you're 75%
nice.
there.
Oh, okay.
And when you've checked off all the boxes, it's you're it's 100%. So I just don't foresee them. I don't know how. I'm not sure.
I mean, I really think that it is something that everybody should start using, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is it's going to just streamline so much of the process. So you can go in, say for me, Friday's follow-up day. So I try to have at least 40 follow-ups. Well, how awesome will that be to just go right into my digital thing? It's okay, follow-ups, where's my list? And then it's just going to pull up my list of people.
You can't keep a list on the daily activity tracker.
There's nowhere to put people. It's just literally checking the boxes.
Just a check box.
Checking boxes.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking of it like Teamsy, but well, I think that'll come eventually. So you will still have to kind of keep your own little sheet. But the other thing that I think is going to come from this eventually is that we'll be able to see what our downlines are doing and if they're completing their trackers. And as a leader, that's really good, because it's a really great way for us to mentor our people. So I would, and it's all probably going to correlate to eventually with BOD groups. They did say at the Super Saturday, the May 19th announcements, there are going to be some technology announcements. I don't know what they are, but And then did you guys, I didn't post it in my team page, Val, Amber, Katie. I don't know if you guys posted, but there is going to be a summit in Pittsburgh. Just like for our bigger team, Melanie is putting on with some other coaches that are local to Pittsburgh. So it's the weekend of July, I believe, like 14th and 15th, whenever summit was, at Seven Springs, Pennsylvania. So if you guys had that weekend already planned to go away, it's not expensive to fly into Pittsburgh, and the hotel won't be that expensive either. And it's a mountain resort, so there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to do. So I would try your best to get there if you can.
And I was looking at that, and the airport is 2 hours from the resort.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah.
What is? Yeah, you wouldn't want to fly into Pittsburgh, I guess, huh? What is the closest airport?
I don't know. Would Johnstown be? I'm from Johnstown. That's how I know. And I don't know if Johnstown would be the closest airport, but I don't know if they would fly. I mean, I think you might have to go from Pittsburgh to Johnstown.
There's a Latrobe airport.
Yeah, Latrobe might be another.
Oh, Latrobe might be closer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to.
I don't know how many flights from where fly into there. I've never used that airport before, but I know other people that have.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Is it really 2 hours?
Yeah, I think it is.
It is, yeah. We marked it on Google Mapped it.
Well, there's also like Maryland, like Hagerstown is kind of, I don't know how far that is either, but that's sort of like Deep Creek. I don't know. Well, anyways, if you can drive.
Okay.
What other questions do you guys have?
I had another one and it slipped my mind. I'm sure I'll think of it again.
Allison, do you have a question?
Guys, I'm gonna start getting up and like dancing or something here in a minute.
What?
I said I'm gonna get up and start dancing here.
Why?
I don't know, because everyone's just so quiet.
Everyone's so fun?
No, I said everyone's so quiet. I was like, I'm gonna
Everyone's
get
so
up
quiet.
dancing here.
Because we all wake up at 5 o'clock to work out.
I know. Even I am tired, and I'm on West Coast time, so I don't know how the heck you ladies are still awake. But I had a question. So Biggest Loser is closed, right? Is that whoever's participating in that? No, it's not closed. Okay.
It's up to you.
It's up to us. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that somebody could get stuff still? Because I have all these carts on the hook and I am trying to close and I'm like feeling like, oh no, do I kind of shift? And then the shift is, do I just shift to inviting to my group, my regular April group, or do I go to Shanti free workout? Like I'm in that weird place because I want to get Success Club.
I would keep inviting to Biggest Loser because technically day one isn't official until April 26th. So prep week starts on Monday, but they can join anytime during prep week. Technically, they could join the last week in April. They could join the 27th. But the thing is that after they commit, they don't get more time. So if they commit 3 days after it starts, every 3 days they have to weigh in and they don't get extra 3 days.
And the weigh-in is on the 27th.
Correct. So yeah, Val just said she's inviting to Biggest Loser and isn't going to stop up until right before kickoff. So you can invite to Biggest Loser as much as you want, like up until, but I would tell them like we're starting prep on Monday. So like you're going to be in, you want to be in so that you're prepped and ready to go on day one.
Yep. I've said that.
What else?
I think switching gears right now too would be confusing.
Yep.
For my people, at least anyway. I made that promise to myself that I'm not doing that again. So I would.
Well, I feel like I already kind of did it with like the Shanti stuff. I feel like I sort of put my freaking foot in my mouth by like already starting to kind of do Let's Get Up. And now I'm kind of going, oh no, like I don't have, you know?
Yeah, it's two completely different things though.
Right.
It's a new dance workout program, and then this is like, okay, do you want the 30-day challenge and the opportunity to like, you know, crush your goals, win some cash?
Allison, you could, since you've already started talking about Let's Get Up, you could say like, throw in Biggest Loser because it's 30 days. Let's Get Up is 30 days.
Right.
And like combine the two of them. Like make a couple stories that kind of combine them, or like take, you know, like however you want to do it, and talk about losing weight in a fun way and doing Biggest Loser with the dance.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I switched back to MBF. So part of me was like, do I do something with MBF? And because they're going to see me doing,
You stick with one thing. If you flip-flop around, people are going to get confused. This is like segueing like right into what we were going to talk about at the end of this call.
Yeah.
Like marketing and stuff. Val asked, why did you switch to MBF?
Oh, I mean, because I was in the test group, and I'm saying I finished the test group. My own personal workout was to switch to MBF. I was in that kind of in-between period, and Brian was already doing MBF, so it was easy for me to jump in because we like to work out together. So, I mean, on my stories, you're still seeing me work out. I'm not calling it out as like muscle burns fat. I'm just putting in there. Like I actually today, I put myself working out with Brian, but then I also put my dance video. I did both. Oh no, me. More than 30 minutes. I'm sure no Beachbody coach has ever gone beyond the 30 minutes.
No, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
I don't know. That was like what I did because I was hoping to sort of, you know, still create the interest. I mean, I can always film like a 5-minute dance video from here on out for the rest of the week and stick like with, but that was my marketing plan, right? That was the thing that we had talked about as the team. And so I thought that was the right move, but I also thought that I was going to have these people buy their darn carts. I've got like 5 of them out, and I've followed up, done questions to closing, and clearly they're just not ready, or they're on vacation because it's spring break still here in different places. So it's like that. It's that weird spot of, oh no, what do I do? Just keep inviting Biggest Loser is what it sounds like.
If I were you, that's what I would do, is keep inviting to Biggest Loser. Because when you do, so this is kind of like going into some of the stuff that we were going to talk about, but when you're doing a marketing plan, you don't want to market too many things like at the same time, because otherwise your people are going to get confused and they're not going to buy anything from you because they're going to be confused, right? And so if you make a marketing plan and you are, say for example, like a typical month, right? Like this month is a little different for some of us because we've got Biggest Loser, we've got Let's Get Up, and then we've got inviting to the coaching opportunity, right? So it's a little different. But in a typical month, the goal is to really invite to your challenge group. So you pick a date that your challenge group is going to start, like, I don't know, like the third Monday of the month or whatever you want to do, so that the beginning of the month, you're really focusing on Success Club and getting your Success Club points in. And then at the end of the month, you can transition into publicly marketing to the coaching opportunity. But even if you're not at your Success Club goals or whatever, when you switch over to the coaching app, you can still publicly, like on the forefront, right? So like your feed and your stories and stuff, you're marketing for like the coaching opportunity, but behind the scenes, you're still having all of those conversations for like whatever challenge group you're running. Does that make sense? But right now, I mean, I get it because it is a little wonky because we've got like all these different things like that are happening right now. But if it were me, I would still be inviting to Biggest Loser, because even though the Let's Get Up program launches for coaches on Monday, the customer launch isn't until May 3rd. So you can still be recruiting to Biggest Loser, and you can, when you're having those conversations, you can say, you know, like, there's a new dance program, like, do you want to like join this? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Somebody else could add like what they would do. That's just what my thought process is. Like Katie, Val, Kirsten, like if you guys have something else that you would do, definitely share it, or anyone else even. You guys are like, nope.
I'm on the same page.
Okay.
And it's simply because, was it last month or the month before? I guess we're in April. So I think
February.
It was March.
Oh,
But
March.
was it February? Maybe it was, I don't even know anymore. Who knows? I had, Amber, I know you already know this, but I had 5 groups going at one time, and I hit immediate burnout. And I made this promise to myself from that point moving on that I was never going to do that to myself again. And you do, like, you learn. I always tell, I tell the girls on my team, we're learning as we grow. We're learning as we grow, because in order for me to realize that I would never do it again, I had to go through it. And I'm proud of myself because I finished all 5 groups. Like, I poured, you know, my love and my energy and my time into all the groups, but I hit a burnout. And so I got super intentional about my time and like exactly what I had going on, because I was all over the place, and I am so sure that I was confusing the heck out of people that were watching my stories, because it was one invite to this and and then I was like, oh shoot, we have coach mentorship coming up, or oh shoot, we have coach sneak peek, I got an invite to that. And that I had to learn, like, I had to just experience it and go through it to learn that, okay, from this point moving forward, it needs to be, you pick your challenge group, you pick your, you know, like, I have my boot camp. That's what I call my monthly boot camp. So I have my boot camp, and if there's a new launch in there, fine, absolutely, I'm going to make that work. But otherwise, it's my boot camp and the coaching opportunity. And I'm going to put I know when my boot camp is running. And so I'm going to put that date on my calendar, and I'm going to start inviting 2 weeks prior to that day one. And then as soon as we start prep week and I'm closing that enrollment, because that's another thing, you should have that end date. I guess we can just kind of roll into December, just to have that end date too. You need to know when you're stopping enrollments. Because if it's like, it gets so hectic and stressful for us to be able to let those last minute enrollments come through. And I feel personally, if somebody else, like, speak on this by all means, but I feel like it takes away time that we are pouring into the people who actually have already committed and are ready to go, if we're dealing with all these people trickling in. So just be super intentional about your dates and when you're starting, when you start to invite, and that day one, and what you need to look and know when your people need to enroll by, and go solid. Because when you're talking to people and you're inviting people, you are able to say, this is when enrollment closes. If you want in, basically you need to be in by this time. This is when enrollment closes. And that also creates a sense of urgency to get them in there too. But you are able to speak so much more confidently when you know your dates. You know exactly what you're inviting to, and it's like, okay, this is what you need. I've got a spot for you here. Let's get you ready to roll, and this is when you can enroll until.
Yes, and I want to add too.
Yeah.
You need to invite to something that you are excited about. I learned this. Val gave me a pep talk about it back in February when I was like really struggling. But if you are not excited about what it is that you are inviting to, I don't care if it's something that everybody else is inviting to, you do not have to invite to that. You need to create something and do something that you are actually going to be excited about doing, because otherwise people are going to know that. They're going to sense that you are not excited about it, and they're not going to want to join you. When you talk about it, you're not going to be excited about it. So if you honestly, if you are not excited about Let's Get Up, if you tried the sample workout and you're like, this is so not my thing, this is not my jam, everyone on this call, except for you, could be doing Let's Get Up, but I would tell you, don't do Let's Get Up if you're not excited about it. Like if it's not literally going to bring you joy and excitement to say like, hey, do you want to do this program? Then you really shouldn't be doing it, and you should be doing something that actually makes you happy and you're excited about. Because more than likely, what you're excited about, your people that are following you are going to be excited about that too. And if you're not excited about Let's Get Up or whatever, like, I don't know, any other program that comes out, then your people are not going to be excited about that either. Does that make sense? Because your people are your people, right? Like if they're not into like dancing and busting a move and like whatever, then they're not going to be excited about this like you are.
I like dancing and busting a move. I don't necessarily think my people do.
So I have a question, because obviously, and I'm sure Allison will feel the same way. I love the idea of having set enrollment dates, but what if you haven't hit Success Club when your enrollment closes? Do you just stop?
You have behind the scenes conversations.
But you stop marketing it totally. Okay.
So I don't know if anybody else has thoughts on this, because I know where you're going with this, because I had that trouble too. If you are marketing for the coaching opportunity, like at the end of the month, but you really feel like I need to keep marketing this, then you should, but you should also have a date, like a deadline, right? It's hard. It really truly is harder to invite to something that you don't have a deadline for. It really is. Like if you just say, I have like my May boot camp, do you want to join? And there's no deadline, there's no sense of urgency, people are going to wait until the last freaking minute.
Yeah.
They truly, truly are. But if you put it
so when
out,
you're in your invites, do you say that? Like, are you interested in my May boot camp? You have until this date. I'm enrolling until this date.
we start this date. Do
Okay.
you want to? And then if they say they're interested and then they kind of like drag their feet, then I follow up and say like, hey, like, I don't want you to miss out. Like we're starting, are you in?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to create.
Just remember too, Kenna, that coaches have to, if you're kind of switching gears and you're going to invite to the coach opportunity, you want them to, a coach to sign up with the challenge pack too.
Right? Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Also, yeah. So that's another thing, but I switch gears to those individual conversations, going through my follow-ups, going through anyone who's ever submitted an application, going through my back office and seeing who's inactive or who like my bod renewals, all that kind of stuff. If it's really coming down to the point where like I haven't hit SC, my enrollment is closing or has already closed, then I kind of do that behind the scenes stuff and don't really promote it a whole lot, to be honest, because I'm putting myself out there with a deadline. I kind of want to stick to it. I also saw that, hold on, who was this? Sharon asked, how often do you invite someone to a free challenge group? So Sharon, that's actually the really important part about having dates. So whenever you're running that free group, you want to put a date to that. So if it's say like a 5-day free group and you're running it on Monday the 19th, then you want to start inviting prior to that to be able to get them even, and I know they're not purchasing from us, especially if it's a free group, but just still, so if you're doing like prep or anything like that. So that's why those dates are so important. And how often do you invite them? If you're doing like polls and if you're doing things in your stories and they tell you that you're interested, you can invite them, and if you know, you have to decide how comfortable you are with like how much time is passing by in between the last time that you talk to them and then the time that you go ahead and say, hey, this is my deadline to get in. I want to make sure, since you told me you were interested, I want to make sure that we get you set up to be in my free group. Yes, I share on my, this is all in my content creation, and anybody feel free to speak. I just want to make sure that we get her questions answered. I do advertise on my Instagram stories and on my grid. So that's all in my content creation. So every single Sunday morning I'm sitting down. I use the Rise Up Planner, and this is specifically built for coaches. And so I'm sitting down every single Sunday morning in my little Sunday morning work sesh, I call it, and I am planning out my reels for the week, planning out my posts for the week. I don't plan my IG stories out because that's more behind the scenes stuff, but I do know when I need to have my invites in there, and I shoot for at least one invite in my Instagram stories a day. And that could be me speaking about it. That could be, you know, you putting a poll, a question, anything like that. Do you advertise it? And then can you do a challenge group with someone that's not on your team? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what, you pair up with somebody that you click with, and you can absolutely run a challenge group together. So yeah, I think so. Anybody else have any input on that?
So,
Question, sorry. What if you start a challenge group, you did like the polls and stuff, and you get them into the group, but once they're in the group, they're like, no, this isn't for me. How do you handle that?
Did they purchase from you, or is this your free group?
A free group, and they see your content and stuff, and they're like, not right now. They changed their mind.
So I go super bold on this, and I said, do you mind me asking why you think it's not a good fit? And I try and dig a little deeper, because there's a solution for everybody. I mean, I believe that there's a solution for everybody's problems, that we can solve everyone's problems. And I understand like medical stuff, I get all that, but I truly believe that we have a solution to everyone's problems. And so I just try and dig a little deeper. It's all about saying, hey, do you mind sharing with me why you think that this isn't a good fit for you? And I'm trying to find out why they feel that way. So I do personally go a little bold with that, and I'm upfront. I did it twice today. Somebody said I had 2 people back out of the Biggest Loser Challenge. And then the one girl said, you know, this just, I don't think I can do this right now. It just doesn't look like it's a good fit. And I was like, do you mind sharing with me why you feel like it's not a good fit? And we got to talking. And in all honesty, one of them was a cost objection, and she wasn't comfortable saying that. But I reached back out to her. I said, do you mind sharing with me? And that kind of opened the door for her to say, eventually get to the point where she's like, I just don't think I can afford this. So I never would have known that if I would have just left it at, okay, all right, like I'll, whatever, you know, and kind of let them go and think, okay, well, they don't want to do this.
Did you bring her down then after that? Or what did you say with the cost? Did you bring her down to something else more affordable?
No, because of the requirements to be in the Biggest Loser.
Not for Biggest Loser, but for something else, I meant.
Well, she has a share cart. So she has not purchased a share cart, but I was really able to talk through the whole price objection and share. I'm super open and honest about this, and I will tell people I did not think that I could afford this. I share bits and pieces of my story in there, but I also make sure that I'm listening. I know, like, I like to talk, I say a lot, but I also make sure that I'm listening. I ask more questions, like, do you mind? And so she opened up to me and told me that she didn't think she could afford it. And I shared about my story with her. Like, I did not think that I could afford this, but, you know, all the little bits and pieces of my story. And I learned that I couldn't, and she's a mom too, and she wants energy to keep up with her kids. I can totally relate to that and share bits and pieces of my story. So yes, she does. We ended up in a share cart. She's got a share cart she hasn't purchased yet. From that point on, I'll follow up with her one more time, and then I'll give her my little PDF of how she can form some healthy habits in the meantime. because she's not ready right now, and let her know that when you are ready, I'll still be here. So we'll see.
That kind of leads into a question that I have. You were saying that you shared a PDF with her to give her something, to serve her in some manner. And I know Kirsten and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and she was saying, don't always look for the sale. Like, it's always coming from a place of love to serve in some manner. So I have, people my age a lot are concerned with nutrition more than exercise sometimes. So I've had a lot of people ask me about nutrition. So I looked through the coach office, and some of the little videos about, either 2B Mindset or the Portion Fix look kind of advertised, like an advertisement, and I didn't want to just send that. What would you recommend I would send to someone like that who doesn't want to yet commit to a challenge pack or even the nutrition program, but wants to know more about some nutrition? So how would you handle that to give them something, but not, something that I'm not spending a lot of energy on, but I'm still serving them in some way?
Well, that's what I did. I created a PDF, and I send it out, and it says, gosh, I don't even know what it says at the top. It says something about tips on starting a healthy lifestyle. And I told them about veggies and drinking half their weight in water and moving their body. I'm not going to give them, like workouts or anything like that. That's
Right.
my personal thing. You can if you want to. That's totally
No,
up
I
to
agree
you.
with that. I wouldn't go that far either. So
Yeah, but you set that foundation. You put a little work into one PDF, and you got it for every single person that's like either no, not right now, or I'll wait. And I always ask them if they're kind of like a hard no. I will say, okay, do I have permission to follow up with you when my next group? And sometimes I can even give them the date because I've got that planned on my calendar. So I give them that, and I say, in the meantime, when you're ready, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. So when you're ready, I'll be here. Here's something in the meantime. Do I have your permission to follow up with you for my next group?
Okay.
I can share that too. I'm trying to go in here real quick to get the link for the PDF that I made.
Jenny, if you go on the Beachbody blog too, it's a great resource for lots of pictures, lots of information that maybe you feel like you can't necessarily put into words that you can copy and paste. But what I would do, Jenny, too, if I were you, is I would sit down and think about the healthy habits that you have created over the past year and the ones that have served you the best, because those people are going to relate to you. So it can be something as like, you know what, I know you're interested in getting healthy. Can I just give you this, you can make this pretty PDF that just says like 5 tips to get started on making your life a little healthier. And it doesn't have to be extreme, but like Katie said, one is make sure you eat veggies but use it to your advantage, not your advantage, but use it to what works for you. Like, I know you sort of follow Ultimate Portion Fix and 2B Mindset. Like, so I would say, a big thing for me is like dinner and done. Like, I choose to close the kitchen after I eat dinner. That's really helped me sustain my weight loss. I drink half my weight in ounces of water. So just take the time to like sit and actually think to yourself. I know sometimes when we're in it, it's hard to see all of the healthy decisions that we make, and we're surrounded by people that do that, but most people don't. Like, people aren't like us. Like, I have a friend that sent me a picture. She was doing the 21-day ultimate reset with me. She's still doing it. And she sent me a friend of this was what her family was eating on Sunday, an Oreo cake that was full of ice cream. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm all for like having your treats. But they dumped chocolate syrup on the cake because there wasn't enough already. Like, there was like icing and cookies and ice cream inside, and then they added their own chocolate syrup. I just share that story because I was like, people do that? Like, I just don't eat like that. Like, maybe goes like, that's like a special occasion. But so even just people don't even know that they should drink that much water. So I know it's stuff that like we say over and over and over again, but people don't even know. Like, they don't know how important it is to read a label. They don't know like how much sodium is too much for prepackaged, pre-made dinners. That I find a lot of people that are like retirement age or empty nesters, like my in-laws, my mother-in-law's like, I don't know why I can't lose weight. I'm like, well, it's probably like the 3,000 milligrams of sodium that you have in your prepackaged dinner that maybe only has 150 calories because it has nothing, but there's 3,000 milligrams. But she doesn't. But that's stuff that we just like know because we're so educated. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
I put my link in there too, and I just always remind myself, because Kirsten, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, people actually do that? And it is because we've learned so much. And I always think to myself, and I remind myself, like, people don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It is, they just don't know. And so that's kind of, I feel, it makes me feel good even to be able to hand over this PDF and say, drink half your body weight in ounces of water a day. And for somebody who truly doesn't know that or doesn't drink water at all, that's a tip that you're serving them with.
Okay.
Whether they do it or not, that's up to them, but you're still serving your people even when they're not purchasing something from you, and that's really, really important.
Okay.
And the blog is a great place for anything, like any sort of posting ideas, any way to serve. And what I would recommend you guys is share what interests you. If there's an article that you find yourself clicking on, like, I don't know, I was just looking up stuff for picky eaters for kids, like 15 ideas for getting your toddler to eat. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I clicked on it, and then I started sharing some of that stuff on my social. And then I had tons of people commenting like, oh yeah, my kids don't eat veggies either. This is how I hide them, or this is how I get my kids to do that. So, you know, take some time to go into that blog. I mean, that blog is like,
you know,
an amazing resource.
Yeah, actually, you've reminded me. I actually made a copy of one of the articles in there about, I think it was the blog on Beachbody about the 12 things that healthy people do. And
there's a PDF.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. Yeah, it was a resource I copied and then forgot that I have it. So, okay. Thanks for the reminder.
And then you guys, when you share these resources, it gives you an open door to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can follow, be like, hey, did you do any of those things that I gave you?
Okay.
And so it's not like, hey, are you ready yet to join me? It's just, hey, and then you do care. Like, have you tried them? Were they hard? Did you forget about it? You want to try this month? I mean, you can even take it a step further and say, hey, why don't I keep you accountable? I'll check in with you in 2 weeks and see how many you completed.
Okay.
All right. Good. These are good questions, I feel like. All right. Very good, everyone. So next week, Katie and I were talking, and I was talking to Vail a little bit about this earlier. We want to bring our calendars and do kind of a marketing plan for May together so that we can all, even if it's not the same marketing plan, we just want to work together as a team to make sure that we all know what we're doing and what our game plan is going into May.
Okay.
And you don't have to do, like, it's not the point that we all need to have the same calendar and have to do the same thing, but we can kind of mastermind and brainstorm and share what everyone's doing so that we know that everyone has something to invite to,
Mm-hmm.
I guess is pretty much what our bottom line was.
That's a great idea. I like that idea a lot because that's one of the things I kind of stumble with. And Kirsten, I want to thank you for that little video you put up on the Design to Shine, because it kind of gave something to, okay, I can do this and then I could do that. And, you know, so it was a nice setup, I guess, if you will, for the month. So I really appreciated that, because I feel sometimes I'm floundering, like, what do I invite to? You know, I'm inviting you to come to my group. Well, where am I putting them? You know, so so that was very helpful. So that sounds like a great idea. That's for next week. We're gonna do that. Okay.
This is Jenny. That's exactly why we're doing it, because it took me literally. I've been coaching. It was 2 years in January. It took me until this last January for the marketing stuff to actually click for me. Like,
yeah.
This is how
I can see that. Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a little over a year for me, and things are starting to finally just kind of come together.
Yep.
And so
yeah, so that's where I was telling Katie earlier, I'm like, well, I really struggled with this for like a long time, and I'm in the rolling group and all that kind of stuff. It just good. All right, so next
I feel like Katie and Amber, you guys sharing that with us so like openly is so helpful, and I feel like you saved us so much time in doing that. So I just wanted to say thank you, especially Amber, you know, for like reiterating every single month for all of us, like what you're doing and showing us your calendar, because I think you saved us all a lot of time.
Oh, you're welcome. I do. I send a screenshot of my calendar to my girls. When they
you want to think about like your business strategies too, because like if you can think about, I know we don't all think that way, and I definitely don't. And our like bigger team leader, Melanie, is like an expert on strategy. That's how our brain works. But like, if you think about everything kind of goes together. So like, you're talking about your challenge group, you're sharing results. You'll find that when you create a marketing plan, your content creation is going to get so much easier, because you're going to know exactly what you're talking about this week. And then you can transition when we start looking towards the coach opportunity call, you're like, okay, now I'm going to talk about coaching, and my stories are going to highlight coaching success stories. And I'm going to talk more about that. And so your content gets geared towards that. So when you sit down to plan your week, you have everything in lined up, and then your followers kind of know what to do.
Okay.
So it's business. You think of it as just like your marketing strategy. And as a business owner, you absolutely want to have that, or everything's just all over the place.
Totally agree. And if I can add a point to that too, Kirsten, about just knowing what you're doing. And that's why for me, it's important to be able to sit down that Sunday, on Sunday morning. But if I'm talking about coaching that week, and I know that I'm kind of like shifting gears and talking about the coach opportunity, and I know that I have something planned that week that coaching has allowed me to be able to do, I can still share my regular, like just my life in a post, but put a jab into it. So you see, like if I didn't know that I was inviting to coaching that week, I would have been like, oh, I'm just sharing that, I'm able to go wherever, and coaching has allowed me to be able to do that. I really wouldn't have that thought process if I didn't sit down and take the time to know, okay, I'm shifting gears. This is coach, I'm starting to invite to the coach opportunity. I was scrambling every single day. I was like, what in the world am I going to post about? And I did that for quite some time, and it was super stressful. I don't know, I made it work, but super stressful. So now when it's like, okay, this, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be an invite or a call to action every single day. It could just be something, a coach blessing that you can share that say, hey, take the picture, do the post, and just do a little jab in there. That coaching has allowed you to do this. And same concept for your challenge groups too.
Yeah. And just know, and then we can be done, but I just want you guys, when you're thinking about this over the next week and what we're teaching you, just remember that with tracking and with your marketing plan, it's not like a black and white end all be all. This is the way it has to be. But the only way that you are going to learn how to do it that works best for you is to actually do it. So you can ask every single one of us, how do you track? How do you do your marketing plan? What groups, what's that? And we're going to guide you, but it is so important that you actually do it. Because like I said, with tracking, I've changed my tracking system so many times because I'm like, that didn't really work. But if I didn't track, there'd be nothing to change, and there'd be nothing. And it's not huge changes. It's just tweaking a little bit. How can I make this work a little smarter than harder? And it's the same with your marketing plan. You might try to do something and like, ooh, that didn't work. Katie and Chelsea and I were running free groups, and we ran it the third week of the month. The first time we were like, oh crap, that didn't work. We need to push it back a week because we saw that it was too close to the end of the month. Just stuff like that. Just know that. And then Beachbody is going to throw stuff in where there's going to be launches and there's going to be products. I mean, we're going to have this call. We're going to create our strategy. And then in May 19th, they're going to tell us something that might change everything, towards the end of the month. So you just have to be willing to be flexible. I know a lot of us in here are such perfectionists. Like, we'll do our marketing plan when we have it all figured out. That's when we're going to do our marketing plan. And you're not going to have it all figured out until you do it. So you have to take the action first.
Okay.
Real quick before we go, I wanted to thank you guys. Last week we had like that inviting call or whatever. You guys challenged me for 100. I got 100 before Wednesday. So thank you for the call. Just like a follow up, like, hey, these are working. your things were listening and they're coming into action. So thank you.
That's awesome. Way to go, Chelsea. Way to go.
Only like 3 good conversations out of it, but it's progress. So
Yeah.
That's okay. You planted the seeds.
Exactly.
100 seeds planted.
That's right. And they will all bloom.
Yes, thank you.
All right, awesome. All right. Anything else before we go? Cool. All right, everyone. Have a great night.